morning. Good morning. It's Tuesday. I got on my stories this morning and I'm like, it's Monday. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's Tuesday. I hope you had the best weekend ever. Again, in my stories, I was talking about like we did everything this weekend. We had so much fun just running around. We did birthday party and the Minnesota Twins game and bonfire and shopping and babysitting the grands, and it was amazing. So I hope you really did have a very, very good weekend. We honored I always think about my nephew he was 21 and he died during service in Iraq in 2006. So we always make sure to mention him and to remember him. So it's a little crooked. Okay, here we go. Anyway, so good morning. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, we do this. We talk about insulin resistance, and I give you very practical, strategic answers as to how to turn it around. If that's something that you need to be a part of, or you have somebody that needs to know how to do this, let me tell you, I was a freaking hot mess express entering my 50s. I should have been the one in my family that was type 2. I should have been the one that was literally on the meds and doing the medical procedures and everything. I was gestational diabetic when I was 22 with my first baby. I was like, I mean, I had everything. I just had everything. I was such a sugar addict. I did the frozen shoulder thing. That's another sign. I did it all. And yet here I am. I'm the only one in my immediate family that avoided type 2. So I really do just like to share how I did it. And then I tell you, and then you guys actually get better results than I did, which is very, very exciting. So good morning, Melissa. Good morning. Good morning, Magda. Good morning, Terry. I hope you guys really did have a tremendous weekend. So today, actually, what we're going to talk about, and then I'll give you a little housekeeping. We're going to talk about fat loss protein versus fat trap protein. What most keto plans are getting wrong. Okay, what they are getting wrong. And I'm just telling you, simple, streamlined tweaks can change everything for your journey. And you'll be so happy that you just heard a couple of tweaks. I'm telling you. Good morning, Sandy. Good to see you. Good to see you. Next Monday, we start our 25th challenge in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. It's a 5-day challenge. And listen, if this was a complicated mess, you would not be interested in trying to get any kind of results in turning back your insulin resistance, in losing, I've lost 3 sizes in my 50s because I brought my insulin down and I got my liver function up. Like, if this was a complicated conversation, you would be like, I'm exhausted even just listening to you. But what if it was really simple? What if it was really streamlined? What if this wasn't the hardest thing you've ever done? I know you might think inside of you it is. But I am so here to tell you that's not true. So that's why we do a challenge every single month. Okay, so next Monday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, we'll do a food ingredient trade outs, pantry and fridge reveal. We'll do a recipe. And this is how you can stack your wins. Stack them. Do 1 month after another month after another month. I don't remember for sure. You don't have to tell me, but I think like Terry's on her 17th one or something like that. I mean, it's crazy because when you stack wins month after month after month after month after month, what happens is all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like losing sizes. I'm tucking in my shirt, right, Terry? I'm doing things like that I didn't know that was going to be able to happen for me. I thought I was too far gone. So we're going to do that. Second thing is, if you are taking advantage of the registered customer campaign where it's $150, $150, $150, and you get $75 off, don't forget, because it's the end of the month. So don't forget, don't lose your streak. Don't lose it. And if you haven't started that and you want to get paid to get healthy, you need to reach out to me because this campaign is the best one I've seen in 14 years. And so anyway, let's get started. I really do believe that this is one of the conversations this is kind of, I don't want to say that it's hard. I'm learning how to do it better and better all the time. Back in the 90s, let's go back in time when we were taught low fat, low fat, low fat. And like We ate Snackwell cookies. Does anybody remember that? And we ate rice cakes and we did everything that was like the stupidest stuff on the face of the planet. It literally got us to be where we are today. The low fat craze ruined us, just ruined us. And it's because then they took out the fat, but then they added sugar to everything. And we were basically just under the impression that we could eat whatever processed crap we wanted to eat, like as long as it's only 50 calories, right? And we never took into consideration that, oh, if it's spiking our sugars, that's making our body call on insulin to go get the sugar to put it in the cell for fuel. But if the cell is closed, resistant, insulin resistant, that's what that means, right? Then it's going to store it as fat because it's a fat storing hormone. Okay. So none of that was ever taught to us. And so this is why I want to come every day and teach you how to view everything through the lens of insulin resistance. You can like literally freaking get your life back. Like when you guys send me your testimonies of, how you have, taken food and targeted supplementation, the two things that I teach, and you have lost sizes and you have gotten off of meds and you are now able to function at a higher level. You don't ache all the time. You're not so fatigued all the time. Like you literally took your life back. There's nothing better than that. And it's actually a lot more simple than maybe you think it is. So when we talk about protein, which is like the cornerstone of the conversation, simple understanding. When you eat protein, like an egg, for instance, let's just take that for a second. Good morning. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you on TikTok. I appreciate you. When you eat protein like an egg, you're barely spiking your blood sugars. And your whole goal is to keep your blood sugar stable. Just stable. Steady Eddie. Keep them steady Eddie. But if you're eating a rice cake or you're eating a Snackwell cookie, you're spiking and then spiking and then spiking. So when we did that whole low fat craze and it messed us up, now when we come forward to 2025, here we are like 30 years later or more. And when we talk about keto, which really, I didn't want to even talk about keto for a long time. Did you know that about me? I wanted to stay away from the conversation because it's so muddy. It's so messy. There's so much bad information out there. It's like, I just kind of like shied away from it a little bit. But, studying Maria Emmerich's information has been really helpful because her and Craig have done a lot of scientific understanding, right? But then she's created these cookbooks. And it's like right behind me, you can see it on Instagram. I don't know if you can see it anywhere else. I have to see where I am. You can right here on Facebook. It's right there. I have cookbooks of hers because she has really good information. TikTok, you can see it easy. And that has helped me to understand that, all of this fad keto is really keeping us from losing weight. And so what happens is you lose heart. You lose momentum and heart and you like give up because you're like, well, just another thing that doesn't work for me. I tried keto. No, you tried probably somebody's idea of keto, meaning bulletproof coffee and fat bombs in your freezer and all of the things, right? And you can have as much cream cheese as you want. You just go for it, girlfriend. And you're like, why am I not losing weight and everybody else does? Okay, so that's what I want to teach you today. I just want to share with you some really basic swap outs so that you can like either keep moving, get moving, break a stall, do something like that. How does that sound, right? This is very much the, because, okay, I have the group, right? Ditch insulin resistance for women. Does everybody know that? Just repeat after me. Ditch insulin resistance for women. This last weekend, major influx of members. It was really crazy. So many people jumping into the group. I don't remember where we are right now. We're at over 5,000, 5,500, 5,700. I don't even know. Started it 2 years ago, right? But I think the number one misconception of every single person is what to eat. I mean, everybody has their own personalized version of keto. Not serving you well. Not serving you well. So in order to get this message across, I feel like I have to break it down and then bring it forward a little bit better. And it's incumbent upon me. It's my responsibility to try to figure out how to streamline this for people if I can. So this is the thing: protein that is buried in fat, and I'll break it down for you, might hit your macros, but it won't help your metabolism. If fat loss is your goal, you want to go for high impact, efficient protein that's lower in calories and fat, but still keeps you full and nourished. Okay, did I say fat-free? Nope. Keto is not fat-free. Maybe I should do a live on this. Keto is not fat. All the things keto is not. It's not fat-free. It's not grain. It's not any sugar, maple syrup, honey. It's none of those. It's not a good keto is not filled with a ton of processed foods and all of the marketed keto bread, but it's still grain. We know it's not keto, but we're going to call it keto anyway. I mean, that's a bunch of BS. It's messing you up. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to now find this balance. Okay. So let me give you some examples that will help you, I do believe. So are you doing keto and are you doing it right? But your weight just won't budge. You think you're doing it right. I'm eating healthy. I'm eating clean. And you might not even want to use the word keto, just like I didn't. And maybe you're like, keto, go away. I don't want it. But you have to understand now we're looking at things through the lens of insulin resistance. So your secret actually might be found in the proteins that you're choosing as to why you're not losing the weight that you want. So I'm going to show you how to spot the difference between protein that burns fat and protein that stores it, okay? So most of us are taught to think that fat is our friend on keto. And it is. Like, this is where we kind of like, but you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Just track with me a little bit. But if you're in a stall, it's time to shift. So sometimes, no matter what, sorry, I just made noise there with my microphone. Sometimes, no matter what, when we decide that we're going to eat whole foods, we drop weight because we're dropping inflammation, we're dropping water weight, we're those types of things, right? So we're getting the results right away anyway, and that's happy, that's good. But then we stall out at some point. And I've had many of you reach out to me and be like, how do I break the stall? How do I move forward? And sometimes the answer is cut out dairy. I'm not dairy free. Cut out nuts. I'm not completely nut free, but I do limit because I do pay attention. But anyway, those are the two things that are usually the problem. Ask yourself these questions. Am I eating protein with fat or protein buried in fat and calories? This is a really great differentiation right here. Am I eating protein with fat, which is normal? Or am I eating protein that is buried in fat and calories? Okay, that's number one question. Number two, how much of my meal is truly lean, muscle building, energy supporting protein? Okay, lean, muscle building, energy supporting protein. Number three, could my breakfast look keto but be stalling my fat loss? Okay, so this was yesterday for me. Now, the more that I have shifted to front load my day, I haven't eaten yet today. I just didn't have time yet. But when I get off of here, I will. So yesterday, this is a picture of what I ate yesterday. So yesterday I had 3 eggs, and then I used the egg white protein bread from Maria Emmerich, a couple of slices of that. So they're kind of, small, but they're grain free. Remember, high protein, like literally no fat in there. A slice of cheddar. I did actually add on an Oikos Greek yogurt. I used to never buy those. I just bought those for my grandsons, and I'm just enjoying them right now. I'm trying to think of what else I had. Oh, and an Amy Lou chicken sausage. Okay. So actually all of it together, now this is going to sound high, so just hold on to your hat, 63 grams of protein. Now I know that sounds like crazy, but I'll tell you, when I went from, and this is like recent, like even in the last 6 months, when I went from 30 grams of protein to 50 to 60, this has really changed how full I am for how long. Now, why does that matter to you? Why do you care? Because if you are snacking all day long, every time you snack on something, whether or not it's a cheese stick or, I mean, something that would spike your sugars a lot, no matter what, you are raising your blood sugar, calling on insulin. So one of the goals is to stop snacking all the time. Well, if I front load on protein, I am telling you, I'm not stuffed. My energy doesn't crash, but I'm full and I'm satiated. I feel nourished. Okay. And then I don't eat for hours. I don't even think about food, which is like, trust me, I can hear you in your head saying, well, but I think about food all the time. I get it. But I'm meaning that my body isn't like running to figure out how to get food. Number one, we know that when we eat a lot of carbs, that's true, right? You're hungry an hour. That's why you always say, Chinese food, not an hour later, you're hungry. It's because of the rice and the carbs and the sugar in America. That's probably not true in actually Asian countries. We just ruin everything. But if you're eating a lot of carbs, like a bagel or a sugar drink or whatever, you're really hungry very quickly. Not when you do this. Not when you do this. And I really want to encourage you. Okay. But here's a thought process as we go through. Okay. A few years ago, I would have eaten, and this is true. These are some of the changes I did make about a couple of years ago when it came to protein and my choices. And it has helped a ton. I would have eaten pork sausage, coffee with heavy cream, eggs fried in butter. It's still keto and it's still protein, right? But guess which one helped burn fat and feel full longer? Efficient protein choices. Okay. Now your body takes more energy in order to burn protein. So automatically it's a win. That is true. But again, is your protein paired with some fat, or is it buried in fat and calories? So we're going to get rid of the old keto thought process today. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So if you're stuck in a stall and you don't need to overhaul everything, you just need to swap out a few foods. This is about getting more bang for your bite. All right. High protein, moderate fat, and high impact. Okay. Now you'll still be in keto. This is what we're doing, but it's in a way that prioritizes lean tissue and body fat storage. It's easier than you think it actually is. It's not as mountainous as you think it is, but I feel like there's a little brain disconnect because of all of the fat-free teaching that we've had. But that's how it goes. So here are your examples. I thought this was really helpful. So let's just take pork sausage, breakfast sausage for a minute, like in the morning, because I used to buy big bags of those Jones. Do you guys know is it Jones? It's not Johnson. Jones pork sausages. You can actually get the chicken sausage too. I don't like them as much in that particular brand. You can get big bags of them at Costco. Really good ingredients, blah, blah, blah. Good morning, Brenda. Good to see you. Very good to see you. And so if you have pork sausages, one link, well, I don't think it's one link. Maybe it's 3, of little mini ones. Okay. So 180 would be your calories, 6 grams of protein, but 16 grams of fat. So your fat is way higher than the protein in, let's say, a pork breakfast sausage, as opposed to like a chicken one. Maybe your calories go from 180 down to 130. Somebody asked in the group over the weekend, do we not care about calories anymore? Yes, of course we do. That's why I very much wanted to teach this, because you still do. You're just not counting calories the old way. You're not paying attention the old way. And you actually don't even have to be extraordinarily detailed if you are the type of person that can really grab the concept and stick to it. Okay. But a chicken sausage, instead of 180, it would be 130. Instead of 6 grams of protein, it actually is like, well, that one was higher. I'm not sure. But instead of 16 grams of fat, you can come down to 7 grams of fat. So you're still getting the protein, but you're getting a much better ratio with your protein versus your fat. Let's do a steak example. So when you want, like, my favorite steak would definitely be a ribeye. Anybody else? What's your favorite steak cut? I would love to know. What is your favorite steak cut? Mine is definitely a ribeye. Okay. But the reason why ribeyes are so amazing is because they are laden with fat, right? But if I went to a steakhouse, I'd probably still choose it anyway, because, why wouldn't you? But in a 10-ounce ribeye versus a 10-ounce sirloin. Okay, here we go. The ribeye is going to be 850 calories and the sirloin is going to be 520. Dang. Dang. The protein is going to be the same, 70 grams of protein in each 10 ounce. You guys needed to know that. You needed to understand when I talk about eating your goal weight in protein every day, it's not that hard if you're eating good protein like that. But the fat is tremendously different. The fat in a ribeye, 10 ounces, is going to be like 60 grams, and a sirloin is going to be like 20. So you can make simple choices, like just simple tweaks. Your breakfast sausage, trade it out. You know, if you're having steak and eggs, just trade it out. Or if you're at a restaurant, you know, let's do some eggs. Now, this one I don't love so much because I always fry my eggs in butter. So when I'm going to choose my fat, this is me, okay? This is how I think. I want to choose my fat in the ways that I appreciate it the most. So if I'm going to have a coffee, I want heavy whipping cream in my coffee. I'm going to choose my fat in that moment for my coffee. Okay. So I don't necessarily need it in another area. And I started this process with just a couple of years, well, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, asking myself simple questions like, do I even care if I put cheese on that? I don't. Okay, well, then I'm not going to put cheese on it. And I was kind of doing that for my dairy reasons. Like, how can I back off on dairy? But like I said, I'm not dairy free. And I'm like, how can I back off and not, you know, that old keto? I actually just deleted some of the highlight bubbles at the top of my Instagram where most of those recipes, because they're very old, were all cheese, all dairy, all because dairy is the easiest thing to go towards when you're keto. But like just eating that level of cheese all the time, it's just not super helpful. It's not helpful for the calories or the fat or the constipation or whatever. Sometimes people are very stalling out because of dairy. And so you have to be mindful of how your body is reacting to what you're doing, right? So I just started asking myself those questions. So for me, I want my fat with my eggs. So I'm going to use some grass-fed butter and I'm going to bake. I'm going to fry my eggs in some really good grass-fed butter. But I'm going to give you this example anyway. If you had 4 eggs and butter, okay, they're doing 4 eggs and butter, just as an example. Like let's say you're making a really awesome omelet. 440 calories, 24 grams of protein. So that's good because each egg is 6 grams of protein and 36 grams of fat. But if you switched it out, and again, I don't love this example, but I'm going to give it anyway. If you did 2 eggs and 4 egg whites, which just, it takes the fun out of it. That's why I don't like it, but that's okay. You get way down to 180 calories, 26 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fat. You cut your fat in a third. You cut your calories by over double, and your protein is still the same-ish. Okay, do you understand? Let me know, like raise your hand or say, I'm getting it, or this makes sense to me. Tell me something. If this is actually, are you tracking with what I'm saying? You're not trading out. You're not going fat free. Like that is opposite of keto. But we've been just so indoctrinated to believe that we're supposed to like add fat to everything we're doing as if that's a key. You guys, listen, that's a carnivore concept. That's for people who are carnivore and they want to go that way. Like Dr. Kiltz is carnivore and he will teach eat all the fatty meat. And he eats a lot of ribeye and he eats a lot of whatever. And then he helps women with their fertility issues going carnivore. You don't mix the two. Okay. I'm not carnivore. So I'm not going to eat like all of the fatty everything all the time. It would stall my weight loss because again, you're trying to still stay in somewhat of a calorie deficit. Yes. You're still trying to get all of the good fat to help your hormones understand why this is helping you. Yes. And you still want very high protein. Yes. Okay. So I hope that's helping. Let me do another one. Just for example here, chicken thighs. Okay. So skin on and fried versus a chicken breast. Now I'm still a chicken thigh person, but you could choose the chicken thigh without the skin. I'm not saying that's fun, but I'm just telling you it's an option. Whatever. Or just know what you're choosing when you're eating chicken thighs with skin on. Okay. So a thigh that you're frying, let's say in your own pan, 250 calories, a breast is 165. Protein is actually the protein is only 20 in the chicken thigh and it's 30 in the breast. So it's higher in the breast, but the fat is enormously different. That chicken thigh is 16 grams of fat and the grilled breast is 4 grams. Big difference. Huge difference. Okay? So higher protein, lower fat in that chicken breast. Well, which one do you think is like makes more sense for what you're trying to accomplish? It's kind of obvious, isn't it? So you guess bacon is out. Magda says, I love bacon. I do choose. Okay. I now look at bacon as a treat. Okay. Now you could do turkey bacon. Turkey bacon would be great because you're lowering that fat if that's something that's really important to you. But I would be able to, years ago, I could eat just tons of bacon. Right? And I'm not against it. I'm not saying you should never eat bacon. I'm just saying be mindful. That's all. Just be mindful. Okay. So for instance, okay, I go to Five Guys over the weekend. We went to Five Guys. I love going to Five Guys. I order like a cheeseburger wrapped in lettuce. I have grilled onions, mustard. I don't think I did. Yeah, I did a tomato. I did mayonnaise, even though I know the mayonnaise is not helpful. I'm sure it's seed oil mayonnaise. What else did I put on there? That might have been it. And I just chose, I'm like, in my head, I'm so used to this now, talking to myself in my head. Do I care if I have bacon today? Nope, I don't. Okay, I'm just going to go with the cheeseburger. Now, if I wanted bacon, I would have ordered the bacon. Because I'm not saying don't eat bacon. I'm just like, I'm not going to eat the copious amounts of bacon that I used to eat, thinking the old keto way years ago. And I'm also not going to just keep it in my house all the time. That's just for me. Bacon might not be your Achilles heel or anything like that. But no, bacon is fine. Oh, is this helpful, Terry? I'm so glad. You need some tweaking. Yep, Sandy says she gets it. She has to stay away from dairy. Meg says got it. That's awesome. Meg, the cheese is your weakness. Yeah, I know. You love ribeye steak. Me too. Porterhouse, filet. You guys are great. Yes. I'm so glad this is helping because I'm really working hard to figure out how to get this information to you guys without confusion, because a confused mind does nothing. So I don't want to do that. So anyway, that's the conversation on bacon in my head anyway. All right, so let's go to cottage cheese. Now, again, I'm not liking this particular trade out, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Okay. Oftentimes when you go fat free with dairy, you're raising the sugars that are in there and you're taking out that fat. So I really don't want this. This example is using fat free, but I personally would never buy fat free cottage cheese. I just want you to see the difference. Maybe 2% instead of full fat, maybe 2% instead of 4%. I don't know. Like I'd have to think that one through a little bit. My husband likes the 4%, great value cottage cheese. He thinks it's amazing. So that's what we end up with in my house. So they're using low fat, but what they're doing is they're using this against a cream cheese snack. Okay. So it's a dairy versus a dairy. We like to think in terms of like cream cheese is like a free for all on keto or whatever, like just add cream cheese. Just know what you're doing. Cream cheese is not a protein. Cream cheese is a fat. Cottage cheese is a protein. Does that make sense? Cottage cheese is a protein. So a cream cheese snack, like 2 tablespoons of cream cheese would be 200 calories. They're using low fat cottage cheese, whatever. A half a cup is like 90 calories. So like a big difference in calories. The protein in cream cheese is like 4 grams. Cottage cheese is like 13 grams. Okay. The fat, this is a huge difference. The cream cheese is 20 grams of fat and the cottage cheese is 2 grams. So the difference is meaning like, the cottage cheese trend that was going around, possibly very beneficial. Like for instance, I used to say And it's not that you can't do it, but if you take equal amounts of eggs and cream cheese, like 4 eggs and 4 ounces of cream cheese, and you mix them together in a blender and you use those for like an egg bake or whatever, it's amazing. It makes a great like breakfast item or whatever you want it to be. Well, instead now, and I haven't tried it, but I know people talk about cottage cheese trade outs for like adding into recipes, etc. If your recipe calls for cottage cheese and you're not using cream cheese, that's going to be a better option if you're doing dairy. Not everybody's doing dairy. Do you understand kind of how that works? So just understand that your cream cheese is a protein or is a fat. It's not a protein. It has a little bit of protein in it, but not much. The fat is weighing it over. So that question that we started with so far, is your protein married with a little bit of fat, or is it buried in fat and calories? And we don't want it to be buried in fat and calories, okay? So again, protein that is buried in fat might hit your macros, but it won't help your metabolism. If fat loss is your goal, you have to go for high impact, efficient protein that's lower in calories and fat, but still keeps you full and nourished. And that is the difference in how, hi, Joy, good to see you. You're learning, Melissa. You need help too. I know. And it's a frustration because when I'll kind of wrap up with this. When I started doing content on this, keto it's just such a messy conversation because there's also keto and low carb. And so some people are like, you guys tell me all the time, if I ask you, how you eat or whatever, well, I'm low carb. That could mean a bazillion things. That could mean you're doing net carbs. That could mean you're doing all of the marketed processed food low carb. That could mean that, it could mean that you're only counting carbs that are obvious, but you didn't realize that there were carbs in onions and garlic and, everything has carbs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it can be kind of a messy conversation, but I think that it's so incredibly important because for every person if I can grab this concept as an overall concept as an Italian person who was so addicted to sugar, I really do believe in my heart that absolutely everybody can understand this concept and adopt it for yourself. And I'm going to tell you, it feels really good when you can finally like shut out the noise. Sometimes we're afraid to let go of those old ideologies. You use the cottage cheese with almond flour to make mini pancakes. You don't overdo your portions. That's awesome. Yeah, because that would be easy to overdo. I mean, I'm talking about myself, Magda. Oh my gosh, I could totally overdo that. But see, that's a little better option, right? As opposed to, this is that one more little thing. As opposed to like, when you make a fathead dough, those are amazing. They make really great pizza crusts. But guess what? It's almond flour and mozzarella cheese and cream cheese and an egg. It's very high fat. And then you've got all the nuts in there. But anyway, okay. But I really do believe that if I can figure this out, so can you. And you know what? The food portion of this takes it takes a half a minute. It takes a minute. It took me 3 to 4 years. It doesn't have to take you that long. But you can see by my picture on TikTok, I was a 2X when I entered my 50s, but I figured out these pieces. And then if any one of you wants to accelerate what you're doing, you guys, strategic supplementation is the key. It is such a key to accelerating this whole process. So if you want to go faster, if you want to take the 90 days of summer and change what you're doing, you definitely need to find out what so many others are doing with, this is another confusing conversation for people because they're like, well, I supplement, I take a vitamin C and I take a magnesium and I take a multivitamin. Well, I'm glad that you're doing that. That's not targeted supplementation specifically for insulin resistance. It's just not. So I talk about 3 different pillars. And some people do all 3 pillars. They jump in off the deep end and they go all 3 pillars, the total body reset. And that is where, like, if you go in my stories right now, I think I still have some of those examples up. in my stories right now from yesterday, some of the testimonies. There's also a highlight bubble at the top of my Instagram page that says Total Body Reset. But some of you dissect it and you take different pieces out of it. So you can do that too, okay? I just want you to know, like, reach out to me and say, I need to know how to customize this for me. I'll put together a cart and I'll send it to you, your very own cart, and we can move forward from there. And just know that whatever you decide, going back to the beginning of this live, that customer campaign, you guys, nobody, where else are you going to get that? Where when you purchase 150 or more 3 months in a row, and this is ongoing, that third month you get $75 off. Don't you want to know that? Don't you want to know that somebody's going to pay you to get healthy? That is actually going to help you be able to reinvest in yourself? Like, that's, we're not talking about, oh, here's a little punch card for every $10 that you spend, and then you get 50 cents off of a future purchase. $75 off. This is the best campaign I've ever seen. I just want you to know that. Like, it's the best. So when I talk about supplementation, the 3 pillars, and again, I won't go into super detail in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. I will do this next week if you need super details. Otherwise, reach out to me. Okay. And I will get you whatever you need, or I'll answer your questions, or we can chat. I don't know. Did you know that I do phone consults so that we can get you up and running and you know exactly what you're doing and you're not confused, because a confused mind does nothing. And then it leads to self-sabotage. So the trio are the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. This is exactly where I started a little over 10 years ago. The gut reset protocol is the primer with the probiotic. Okay, it looks like a greens product. I almost used mine up this morning. Hold on. It's not a greens product. It's actually way more than that. So if you do not have a gallbladder, if you have leaky gut because of your insulin resistance, if you have constipation, indigestion, I have somebody who has short gut syndrome. I have somebody who's had a lot of constipation in her universe. I mean, many of those, but, and then redo your microbiome. And then the last one is that fat burner pixie stick. This is the one that tastes like candy, orange candy, and you put it on your tongue every day, and it literally does target the visceral fat. This is the sourcing that I've done on this particular package thought process. Every single piece has something that will help you towards insulin sensitivity. Every single piece. Okay, so that's why it's put together the way that it's put together. Okay. Coming from my own research and my own whatever, but that's why people get the results that they get. So if you're looking to accelerate, if all you want to do is switch out your proteins properly today, God bless you. Like, do it. And then come back and tell me how that has been working for you. If you need to accelerate, if you need to launch, if you need to put a little bit of a fire behind your rocket, so to speak, and you need to be in a different place by August or whatever, this is where you raise your hand and you reach out to me, or you let me know in the comments below that you need help, and I will get you a customized cart. And TikTok, you can reach out to me in messages, but we'll have to go somewhere else in order for me to send you stuff. It's just the way that is over there. So there you go. I hope that was helpful for you today. And again, the end of the month is coming, you guys. If you are on track for the 150 and get that $75 off, the end of the month is Friday. Don't let that go, especially if you've already done March and April. $75 off. So I hope that people aren't too busy or distracted that they'll forget. Don't do that. Don't miss out. But if you wanted to start, it would be, you're starting right now in May, June, July. Cha-ching in July. Cha-ching. So I want you to know that. All right. I'm going to see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I hope you have the best day ever on the face of the planet. Like, really enjoy today. Okay. Find something that you can be proud of yourself for. Find something. Okay. All right. See you guys later.